Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life with best-selling author and coach Kathy Williams, a show to help you tap into the support of the universe and access the abundance that's available in every area of your life. Listen in for conversations and tools to create more ease, joy, and possibility with family, relationships, business, and living. Kathy's joyful perspective will help you tap into your own wisdom and create a life of presence and abundance your way. Listen live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, or anytime on iTunes or at IOM-FM.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Kathy Williams, your host, and today's conversation is about awareness. And we all know on some level that following our intuition, awareness, knowing, whatever it is you call it, makes life better. So why is it then that we don't always follow it? Sometimes we override it. Sometimes we have a knowing, but we go with what everyone else has said. So we're going to discuss that today and then talk about ways we can trust ourselves more, maybe have more clear knowing, not distract ourselves with doubt and things like that. And before we dive in, a little bit about me. I am the creator of the Radical Abundance Program. I am a certified coach through Michael Neal's program, Super Coach Academy, and an Access Consciousness facilitator, and have been working with people one-on-one, in person and online across the globe for almost 20 years, and that makes me sound older than I am, maybe. I started when I was 12, no. And really, it's just such a delight to watch these tools, particularly the ability to trust our awareness, expand people's lives, and help us create lives beyond our wildest imaginings. So, even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that I'd be traveling around the world facilitating workshops and things like that. So if you have a desire, it can be created. And one of the most important steps in that is following your knowing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, the example I often give in the 4-day foundation class that I facilitate is, let's say you have you're at a party or some event and you don't have a ride home, so you're like, okay, well, what are the different ways I could get home? I could take an Uber or a taxi, or I could maybe even walk, and somebody offers you a ride, and you say, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then immediately you get a gut feeling like, something's off about this, and you're not sure what, right? But you have a sense like, something's off. Now the question is, do you make a change? Do you say, well, on second thought, I'll just take an Uber. It's not a problem. I'll do that. Or, on second thought, I'll find a different way of getting home. Or do you override that impulse, that knowing you had, and go with this person anyway? And this is not to say the person's a bad person. It could be you just know something's off about it. Maybe they're going to leave much later than you wanted to, or maybe they're going to be in a car accident, which actually happened to one of my clients several decades ago. She had a sense not to go with this person, and she went anyway, and then she was in this bad accident that mangled her leg. So it's just sort of like, do we follow our knowing or do we override it? Or are there certain situations in which yeah, it's easy to follow my knowing, and then maybe when other people are around, I don't follow it. And this is an exploration we get to have not only in this moment, but for the rest of our life, And so each time we find that, yeah, I really knew not to trust this person or not to do business with them or that I should turn right and I didn't. It can be anything from tiny things to big things. I knew that. It's when we see that, we don't have to judge ourselves. Okay, we can say, oh, okay, cool. I did know. All right, well, next time, let me pay even more attention. What would it take for me to really trust me? And then even take a look at the situation like, okay, I knew. And so if I knew on some level, what was it that compelled me to not follow that? Right? What was it that compelled me to override my own awareness? And we do that for a lot of reasons. I mean, we're not exactly taught to trust our own awareness as children. We're taught to trust other people. We're taught that other people are the experts and know better, and we should sit still and listen. Most of us are taught that, right? You have to sit still so you can learn something, as if we haven't been learning all along. And then there are deliberate lies that adults tell us, right? Oh, everything's fine, honey. When really, on some level, everything's not fine. Or Santa Claus exists. And you're like, something feels off about this, right? So we're taught at a very young level, and not deliberately. They're not saying, oh, Susie, don't trust your awareness. Your awareness is bad and wrong. They're not saying that. But we're told lies that cause us to believe that we can't trust our own knowing. And so what would it take for us to start to trust that even more than trusting other people's awareness? Isn't it funny? We trust other people's awareness often more than we trust our own. And how are they with it? Maybe they don't completely trust their awareness, but we're trusting it. So it's this funny mixed up spider web of trust. So I'm going to use a couple of clearings here and just invite you to everywhere you're unwilling to trust your own awareness, everywhere you've decided your awareness is not good enough or lacking, will you take all of those solidified points of view and just collapse them back into energy, the wave of energy that's available? We think the chair we're sitting on is solid. We think our body is solid. And I'm going to give you this beautiful example of, if an atom were the Sistine Chapel. I heard this from Richard Bartlett, the founder of Matrix Energetics. He said if an atom were the Sistine Chapel, like this huge chapel, then a sugar cube was the nucleus of the atom. And we sprinkle some dust around, just like dust particulate. That would be the electron. And the rest is space. So essentially, like one atom consists of all of this vast space and a tiny bit of matter. So everything we think is solid is really just energy vibrating so quickly that our eyes don't catch the fact that it's energy. And so that includes our points of view. We think they're solid when really they're just energy. So asking them to collapse back to energy is just the invitation for them to become something different, unsolidified in our reality. So, what do you love about not trusting you? And I know this is so like, I don't love anything, Kathy. I don't love anything about not trusting me. Yes, that's usually the first response. However, what's beneath that? What? Because if you're not trusting you, then there is something valuable or something you like about not trusting you. So what is that? What's the value of not trusting you? Is it because then you don't have to be responsible for things working out or not working out? You don't have to be wrong. Like, being wrong is one of those things that we defend against so dynamically. Like, most of us are unwilling to make a choice unless we know we haven't gotten it wrong. Okay, so if we follow our awareness and something doesn't work out, then it's on us, right? Oops. However, so everything that brings up and everywhere you've decided, if you follow your awareness, things won't work out, when actually they're likely to work out better. Well, you collapse all of those points of view and everything that perpetuates them back to energy. And if you like another kind of clearing statement, go ahead and do that. There are all different things we can use. That's the beauty of this planet. We have so many different tools we can use to create change. So what about, the fact that if we go along with everyone else's point of view, right? Okay, you're getting the sense, no, I really don't think this is the right thing to do, and everybody else says, yeah, it's fine, come on. Then when it doesn't work out, you're not responsible for that, right? You can blame other people. You're now the victim. So all the ways in which we'd rather be the victim instead of the creator of a better reality by following our own awareness, will you collapse that back to energy? Wow. Yeah. I know I've been there many times where it's like, okay, it doesn't feel right, but everyone's saying that this is great. It's a great thing. So the other thing that doubt does, right, is it keeps us from choosing. If I have awareness, oh, I'd really like to create this class, and then I start to doubt myself. Well, that class has been done before, and I'm not sure I know that topic well enough, and blah, blah, blah. Doubt keeps me from committing. It keeps me from choosing and committing. Right? And then again, I don't have to be responsible if something doesn't work out. Yet it's just a choice, right? And each choice gives us more awareness. So let's say I'm doubting, and I was like, Kathy, get over your doubt. Just choose. Okay, I'm going to choose to do the class. Like right when I choose, I also get more awareness. Okay, I'm choosing to do the class. Shall it be more questions? It feels light. It feels right to choose this class. And let's talk a little bit about light and right after this. So then I get to ask more questions. Right? Well, okay, shall I do it as an online class or as an in-person class? Online feels light. There's a quality of expansiveness to it. There's a quality of more contraction when I'm saying in person. Shall I do both? There's a quality of contraction. Okay, cool. I'm going to follow what's light. Okay. And I'll guide you through an exercise during the show in regard to light and heavy, and that way you can get a sense of it. So, and if you're a person who loves to doubt you, stay tuned because we're gonna talk more about that, and we're gonna talk about more about how you can start to trust yourself even more. A lot of us would rather head trip and go around and around about our awareness rather than trusting it. yes, well, I don't know, and da-da-da. So and then, ask more questions and then get more confused. And so everywhere you would rather head trip and go around and around about your awareness instead of choosing and then getting awareness from that choice, because that's what choice does. It brings more awareness. Would you be willing to let that go? Let go of the head trip. Now, sometimes we head trip because we're so aware, we're like a psychic sponge. We're so aware that we're picking up on all sorts of other people's points of view, right? So we know, oh, well, my boyfriend would like me to choose this, and my best friend thinks this is a better choice, and my cat, no, not my cat. My cat would really like me to get at food right now. Like everybody else's point of view. Oh, and my coach says I should do this, and other people in my field are doing it this way. So sometimes we're so aware that we're in our head about our awareness because we're aware of everyone else's points of view. Okay. So one of the simple things I do to kind of clear out my space is to, first off, ask everyone else's point of view to back off. And I literally use my arms. It's like, give me space. Like, go 4 feet away from me, everybody. Just back off. And then if I had no point of view about this, right, if I had no judgment about this choice I'm about to make, what would I choose? And then usually something just comes in. So ask everyone else's points of view to back off. You can even say, everywhere I'm making everyone else's point of view more real than mine, I let that go. I collapse that back to energy. Oh my gosh, the show is passing so quickly. We're going to do some more exercises and discuss more about doubt and trusting and all things awareness over the next hour. So stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life. We'll be right back.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on The Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching, or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. We are having a conversation about awareness. And I should introduce myself again. I know it's Kathy Williams, your host. And I always love to hear from you. I recently had a woman message me some ideas for shows that she would like to hear about. And so we will have shows coming up on The Universe Has Your Back and Stop Self-Sabotage. And those will be coming up in the spring, so April. And we'll also have a conversation with Julie Tootin, the author of Beauty in the Breakup, coming up, as well as my regular guest, Sophie Mihalko, who is so much fun. So we always love hearing your show ideas, and you are welcome to call in. Come over to OMTimes, www.iom.fm, and you're welcome to, call into the show and ask your questions. And I always love that because that keeps me from talking the whole hour. But it also, brings another flavor to the show, having interaction and real life application. So, of course, I have lots of ideas and real life application ideas too. But it is kind of fun to have a conversation. So let me know your show ideas. And again, know that you're welcome to call in. So anyway, we were talking about doubt, self-doubt, awareness, what's light and what is heavy. So let's do a little exercise about light and heavy so that you can apply this. Because the idea is things that are heavy on some level are not true for you. And we're going to explore this a little bit. And also, let's apply it to a situation you've already had in your life. So think about something someone said to you at some point that kind of stuck you. All right. And it just stayed with you. I'll give you 2 examples. I had a friend who said to me, Kathy, are you a Scorpio? And I was like, why are you asking me this? And he said, because you're sneaky. And that kind of stayed with me for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden I asked, is that actually true for me? Am I sneaky? And it wasn't. So something that sticks you and kind of won't go away, you have to look at, is this true for me? Okay. Or is it true, but there's a lie attached? Or is it a lie? All right. Maybe it's that person's interpretation and it's not true for you. I'll give you another example. I have a friend and he met this woman and he was like, oh, I totally want to be with her for the rest of my life. And he sounded really sincere. And then when I went away from the conversation, that's the part that really stayed with me. And I just looked at it and I was like, is that really true for him? And there was a heaviness. Okay. Remember, heaviness is a lie. And so then I looked at is it actually true for her? And he's buying it as true. He's so tapped into her reality. He's so tapped into, right? He's aware. He's so tapped into what's true for her that he's making that his reality too, even though it's not. And that there was a lightness to that. So find a situation, think of something in your life, maybe something someone said to you that there was a heaviness or it kind of stuck and you're like, what is that? Why is that so weird? Why is that even still here? And then, the other element of this is usually whatever someone's accusing you of is what they themselves are being. So if someone's accusing me of being sneaky, on some level, that's what they're being. All right. Which is why they're projecting it out. So
think of that situation that was heavy for you, right? Now what I'd like you to do is just ask, well, is that true? Right? Or is there a lie here? Okay. And acknowledge to yourself that you are aware of the lie. You're that aware. You're super aware. And you are aware that something was off. Something wasn't right about what that person was saying. Okay. Now, hey, universe, what would it take for me to be really on it, for it to be really clear to me when someone's lying? Okay. Hey, body, make it really clear to me when someone's lying. You can ask your body to show you, and it will. Okay. So if something sticks you, it's a lie. There is a lie. The entire thing may not be a lie, but there is a piece of it that's a lie. So you could ask, is there a lie here? Spoken or unspoken? Maybe it's something they themselves believe. Right? A lot of times we lie to ourselves and believe it. Even when you say like, oh, I don't know. How much do you pretend you don't know? How much do you lie to yourself that you don't know? Right? And is it safer? Like, does that feel safer to say, I don't know, instead of to own your knowing? Would you be willing to acknowledge that you know? Would you be willing to allow yourself to have your awareness in totality? And if not in totality, what percentage? Would you allow yourself to have 50% of the awareness that's truly possible for you? What percent would you be willing to have? And then what have you decided about awareness that prevents you from having all of it? Have you decided it's unsafe? Have you decided people wouldn't like you? Maybe as a kid you were called a know-it-all, right? You're such a know-it-all, and so you made that a bad and wrong thing instead of acknowledging, yeah, I do have a lot of knowing. So everywhere you've suppressed and repressed and hidden your awareness, even from yourself, because it was made wrong or bad, will you collapse all that back to energy and allow yourself, give yourself permission to have your awareness in totality? When you think you don't know, when you're not sure which choice to make, you can ask, what do I know that I'm pretending not to know? What do I know about this I'm pretending not to know? One of my favorite times is early morning. I did a show about the magic of waking up early, and you can find that on iTunes or under Sexy Mom Abundant Life, on SoundCloud or at IOM.fm. And one of the things I love doing during that time is journaling, because your mind has not truly turned on yet. The logical thinking mind. You're still more in alpha and theta brainwave state. So there's more creativity, and there's also more room for the subconscious stuff to kind of like come out, kind of be revealed. And so that's a great time to ask yourself what you know about certain situations. And if I did choose this, what would that be like? And if I chose this, what would that be like? So a simple way of using the light and heavy tool initially, like exploring it, is whatever you're doing right now. Like I'm sitting down. If you're seated, you say, okay, truth, is my body seated right now? And you get a sense, like often for people it's in their chest, maybe sometimes it's, you get a sense of like above your head. You'll get a sense of a lightness or expansion, because that's true. And then you'll say, truth, is my body lying down right now? And get a sense of the difference. And how does that impact your energy, impact your body? Like, is there a contraction in your chest, right? If I say, truth, am I seated right now? I get a sense of freedom in my body. Truth, am I standing right now? In my solar plexus, right under my rib cage, it goes, meh, no, that's not true. I'm not standing. Okay? So you can play with that. You can play with beginning to trust yourself with really simple things. And you trust your knowing. Like one of the early exercises, intuitive exercises I was exposed to was just getting a sense of like, oh, how many messages do I have on my phone, right? And you know, is it more than 3? Is it fewer than 3? And you get a sense of one is light and one is heavy, right? Oh, how many unlistened to messages do I have on my phone? That would be a different question, right? Because you might have a bunch of messages that you've already listened to. So get clear with the questions that you ask too. You know, as we strengthen this muscle of trusting yourself, you can play with different ways. Are you someone who hears things? Are you someone who kind of feels it, has a tactile sensation? I have a client I worked with for several years. She said, Kathy, it's like an inner lie detector, you know, like where I have a little gauge, and that gauge, a visual thing, goes off to the right or to the left, depending on whether something's true for me. So it's like, okay, body, make it really clear when something's true for me and when something's not. So those are a couple of ways you can start to just pay attention and ask for clarity, right? When you ask for something, the universe, the quantum entanglements of the universe actually rearrange themselves to meet your ask. So if you're saying, well, I don't know enough, the universe is like, oh, okay, cool, right? And if you're saying, oh, well, I don't really have good intuition, the universe is like, oh, okay, cool, right? Wish granted. If you're saying, okay, what would it take for me to know that I know? The universe is like, okay, cool, we'll help you with that too, right? What would it take to have total clarity and ease with trusting my own knowing? The universe is also saying yes to that. So that's one of my favorite questions, is what would it take to have total clarity and ease with this? With this person, with this relationship, with this situation, whatever it is. Like, what would it take to have total clarity and ease with this? And asking for clarity brings more clarity. Asking to recognize your own knowing, your own intuition, helps you recognize it. And one of the things that also might be useful for you is to take a look at some situations in your life in which you followed your own knowing and things worked out. So at least 3, right? Okay, I'm going to sit and write about, because writing, there's something about seeing it, right? There's something about that tactile action of writing and being able to read it again, where it's like, okay, what are 3 situations in which I followed my knowing and it all worked out? I knew to take this job. I knew to go on this trip. And it could be super simple. I knew that this was the thing to order that would make my body just so delightfully happy. It doesn't have to be big things. And then where are some times I didn't follow my knowing? I knew, but I didn't listen. And again, not to make yourself wrong, but just to recognize, hey, I knew. And I went the opposite direction. So Oprah, some time ago, had this show in which she was talking with people who, not even sure what had happened, but each of them had been violated in some way, like raped or whatever. And she asked, did you know? And every single one of them knew that they should not enter that situation, right? On some level, they knew not to go there, not to be with that person alone, not to, and they did, right? So it's like, okay, cool. It's not a wrongness. It's just each choice we make to go with our knowing, to go with our intuition, or go against it creates something. No choice is bad or wrong. They just create something. So everywhere you've made yourself wrong for not following your knowing, not going with that intuitive hit, maybe listening to someone else instead, will you collapse all your judgments about yourself and that situation back to energy? I know. It's like, and then expand out, expand and become more spacious. What do I even mean by expand out? I mean, like, expand your awareness of your awareness. Meaning, if you're in a room, sense all four walls. Sense the floor and sense the ceiling. And get bigger. Okay? Because a lot of times when we make ourselves wrong, we contract. Right? And in fact, when we take on any fixed points of view, making something wrong, we contract. So expanding out helps you soften your body and helps you release all those points of view as well. So here's another reason a lot of us override our point of view. We've decided something. We have judgments about it. So let's say, we get a sense like, no, this person is lying. Then say, no, this is a really nice person. They've always been good to me in the past. They're really nice. Here I have a judgment, and I'm using my judgment to override my awareness, right? I'm using my judgment that this is a good person. They wouldn't lie to me, to override my knowing. And they may be a good person, but they may be lying in this situation, right? So it's like one thing we can do is, okay, everything I've judged about this person, let me collapse back to energy. So let me see what's true now. There was a woman, I tell this story in some of my foundation classes. It's a story from This American Life, which is on NPR in the United States, and it's now a podcast. And the woman had her identity stolen for years and years. So, commercial break. She had her identity stolen. And now we go to a special break. And I'll be right back with the story. We're talking about awareness and how you can trust yours more and more, and how much better that will make your life. Thanks for listening.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everybody. This is your host, Kathy Williams, and we are having a conversation about awareness. Awareness, knowing, intuition, whatever you call it, it makes life better. Yet, sometimes we don't follow it. Sometimes we override it. So I was telling this story about a show on This American Life. And this is a true story, right? This really happened to a lady. Her identity had been stolen for like 7 years or something like that. Like again and again, she would switch banks. She would switch credit unions. She would switch credit cards. She would switch all the things, and it kept getting stolen over and over. And so finally the people were like, listen, it's gotta be your boyfriend. It's just gotta be him. Oh no, he's so nice. He bails me out every time this happens. He's a great guy. It would never be him. Well, see, her judgments of him, that he's such a great guy, prevented her from seeing what was actually true. She wasn't willing to ask the question, is he the one doing this? Because if she had, she might have had an awareness that, like, actually, it might be him. It could be, right? So, it turns out she found later a check on his desk with her name forged on it. So he was the one, right? But her judgments prevented her from seeing what was actually true. So how many judgments do you have of people that are keeping you from seeing what's actually true? And you can say that when you're in a situation, when your awareness is like, don't trust this person. Okay, how many judgments do I have of this person that keeps me from seeing what's actually true? And just collapse it back to energy. And it could be that you have a judgment of a person that you think is an awareness. So you could say, okay, when you have this, I'm not sure I should trust them. Okay, is that a judgment? Oh, that's heavy. Is that an awareness? Oh, that's light. It's an awareness, right? If you have, if you say, is it an awareness and it's heavy? Is it a judgment? That's light for you. Then it's likely a judgment. Suzanne is asking me, how do I remind myself about asking a question when a funky feeling is already has taken over? I sometimes lose my capacity for asking and awareness at that time. Yes, yes, that happens to a lot of us. And so sometimes that's when a friend comes in. If you have a friend who's, a great question asker or someone who can remind you of these things, like even yesterday or 2 days ago, I messaged a friend and said, hey, I just texted her and said, hey, can you give me a question? Or can you give me a question in regard to this situation? And she will. And I'm so happy to do the same back for her. It's like sometimes when we're already enmeshed in it, it can be that we're like, you could even ask, well, what question can I ask here? Or what is this? Right? What is this energy? I did a really fun YouTube video the other day, and I've gotten some great comments on that video about, I think it was titled, how to change a funky energy or something about a yucky energy. So I texted this person and I got a yucky energy, like right away. It was like, ugh. And I went into the wrongness of me. I went, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And the only thing I had said was, sounds good, or I hope so. No, I hope so. And I got this huge funky energy. Then I was like, oh, is this even about me? And it wasn't. It was about what's going on in their world, right? So starting to ask questions, even, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? Okay, how would I change it? Right, those 4 questions. Post-it notes are awesome reminders, like, hey, let's put post-it notes of questions around. Or my phone is a huge gift too in that way. Like every once in a while, one of my favorite questions pops up, and that's, how much space can I be to change this? Because again, if you don't have if you're more spacious, you have fewer points of view. If you don't have points of view, judgments in the way, attitudes, opinions, beliefs in the way, then you'll see more clearly. Because each of those judgments, opinions, beliefs are like bird poo on your glasses, keeping you from seeing what is. And if you're willing to see what is, you can make choices that work a lot better for you. So I'm going to look at my notes here. Okay. So everywhere you've decided you need better intuition, would you be willing to let go of that point of view, collapse it all back to energy, and let go of all the ways it's impacting your life? Right? How aware are you that you haven't even recognized? For me, one of the amazing tools that helps me recognize how aware I am is when I have a sensation like this funky energy from the text the other day, or even a pain in my body. It's like, oh, is this someone else's? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. We'll let them have it back. Doesn't really work for me to go in the mud pit with someone who's drowning in a mud pit. That doesn't help them out of it. So let them have it back, return it wherever it's going to create the greatest possibilities. I'm just aware. And if it's in my reality, then how much space can I be to change this? One of my very favorite questions. Because asking that allows me to drop my beliefs, my judgments, my opinions, my points of view about both what's occurring, right? Like that yucky energy, right? Even yucky is a judgment, that it was heavy, that heavy energy, or even about myself, or even about the person that I just texted, right? How much space can I be to change this? Invites more spaciousness and clarity around the situation. All right. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, I went through a lot of this. So when you get an awareness of something, you sense something. Often then after that, we might solidify it as a feeling or even go to I think. Now, awareness, intuition, knowing doesn't require thinking and figuring it out. It's just a presence, a sense, some picture, some sound, some feel, some sensation you get, something. And some people may get all of those. If you'd like to have more of one or another, you can say, okay, I clear all of my commitments to not seeing. Okay? I clear all of my commitments to not having clairaudience. I clear all of my commitments to not receiving my own knowing. And collapse all of those oaths, vows, swearings, and commitments back to energy. If you prefer saying back to source energy, that's a possibility too. I clear all of those back to energy and give myself permission to perceive, to know, to receive my own awareness. So Suzanne, I hope that was helpful, and please let me know if you have more questions about that. So everywhere you've decided that doubt is more useful than choosing. Wow. Dancing with the doubt instead of choosing. Which, here's the thing. We judge ourselves for choosing because we want to make sure we get the right choice. But right and wrong are both judgments, right? So everywhere you're trying to get the right choice, and so you're doubting that you're not going to get it right, or you're thinking you'll get it wrong. Will you collapse all of that back to energy? When you make a choice, right? You say, okay, yes, I'm going to do a class in Vienna this summer, and off and on it was like, okay, it's really late. Now I'm not sure what dates, and now, I'm not sure if it's late, and I'm choosing it. Okay, so there's a lightness. Okay, now I'm going to get the ticket, and I'm going to tap into the lightness, right? Is this light? What will it create if I choose this? So these are two of my favorite questions. What will it create for my life in 5 years if I choose this, and if I don't choose it? Because that's another place where you can get a real sense of, oh, this one is much lighter than that one. Right? What will it create in my life in 5 years? I'm just going to give an example. If I go on a date with this person, it's kind of yucky. Okay, cool. Not going to go do that. What will it, well, let me check this. What will it create in 5 years if I don't? Oh, that's much lighter. Okay, well, that will be my choice. But we could even ask, okay, well, what if I went with him in 2 weeks from now, right? So is now not the time, right? It could be it's not the time. His grandma just died. Or, so start to ask more questions when something comes up heavy too. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, that's one of the challenges with the light heavy thing is when something's heavy, people go to, oh, well, that's the wrong choice. Instead of, okay, well, Vienna feels a little heavy at this point. What if I changed the week? Oh, well, that's lighter. Or what if I change and just do a day-long class? What if I did 2 days? What if I did 3 days? Just tapping into the energy of each of those possibilities and seeing what's light and getting curious, not having to get it right. Getting curious. What if you never had to get anything right or wrong again because that right and wrong are just judgment? So anyway, before we go, and, I'd love to see your comments. You can ping me. We have a YouTube video. You can post comments below it. But I would love to hear from you and just what other questions do you have? Because awareness is this ever unfolding thing. And as you get more aware, you get even more aware. And so we could have another conversation about it as well. And if you would like to join me in Vienna, join me in London, join me I think I'll be in the Midwest and Colorado this summer. I will be in Colorado, or in Hawaii in May and August. Head on over to meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. Okay, and that's where all the online classes are. In-person classes are there as well. meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. And also on that site, I have a radio page, so you can see radio archives from the past several years. I've been on air, Sexy Mom Abundant Life, only for a short time now. And also the Imperfect Brilliance radio show I was on for several years. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And if you would like to join me in one of those fun locations, I went to London last summer. It was such a blast. And that's really one of the places where following my awareness was amazing. Because initially, Alan, my host, and I were going to do it. And then someone put the same class, like in the month after me and maybe even the month before me. And we're like, and then it still kept kind of being we said, okay, we won't do it. And then, you know how I talked earlier about when something sticks you, there's a lie there. So we had bought the lie that putting a class in June would be too much, right? Too many of those in London. And so we looked at it again, and it was super light to do. And it was such a fun class. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for being here with me on Sexy Mom Abundant Life. I'm here every Thursday live. And in between, if you can't wait that long, head on over to iTunes, find me on Facebook,